The 20th century was a time of great upheaval and change. It was a century marked by progress and innovation. But it was also a century stained by the rise of ideologies that challenged the very foundations of humanity. Among these, fascism stands out as a particularly dark chapter. Born in the aftermath of World War I, fascism preyed on fear, resentment, and economic instability. Fascism, in its essence, was a rejection of the principles of enlightenment and reason. It was a revolt against democracy, liberalism, and individualism. Instead, it offered a seductive but dangerous vision, a totalitarian state where the individual was subsumed into a collective, ruled by a charismatic leader who promised order and strength. This ideology, with its emphasis on nationalism, militarism, and authoritarianism, would leave a trail of devastation across the globe. Its legacy continues to haunt us today, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present need to safeguard democratic values against the siren song of extremism. This essay will delve into the origins of fascism, its rise to power in Italy and Germany, and explore its core tenets. We will examine its impact on individual freedoms and minorities. Finally, we will look at modern-day examples of fascist tendencies, reminding ourselves that the lessons of history must be learned and remembered. Italy, in the aftermath of World War I, was a nation grappling with disillusionment. The promised rewards of victory felt hollow, the economy was in shambles, social unrest was rampant. It was in this fertile ground of discontent that Benito Mussolini, a former journalist and socialist, sowed the seeds of fascism. Mussolini, a charismatic and ruthless leader, capitalized on the widespread fear and uncertainty. He formed the Fascist Party in 1919. It promised to restore order, revive the economy, and restore Italy to its former glory. Mussolini's paramilitary wing, the Black Shirts, terrorized political opponents, breaking up strikes and intimidating anyone who dared to oppose the fascist message. They preyed on the fear of communism, promising stability and a return to traditional values. Their tactics, brutal and effective, resonated with a population desperate for change. In 1922, Mussolini orchestrated the March on Rome. This show of force, though largely symbolic, intimidated the government into handing him power. Mussolini became prime minister, consolidating his grip on power in the years that followed. Italy, under Mussolini's iron fist, became a model for fascist movements elsewhere. It was a stark warning of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the seductive allure of authoritarianism. Across the Alps, a far more sinister form of fascism was taking root. Germany, defeated in World War I, was a nation humiliated. The Treaty of Versailles, with its harsh reparations and territorial losses, had left deep scars on the German psyche. The Weimar Republic, Germany's fledgling democracy, struggled to maintain order amidst economic chaos and political extremism. It was in this environment of resentment and instability that Adolf Hitler and his National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party, rose to prominence. Hitler, a charismatic demagogue, offered a scapegoat for Germany's woes: Jews, communists, and other minorities. He promised to restore German pride, rebuild the military, and create a 1,000-year Reich free from the shackles of the Versailles Treaty. The Nazi Party, like their fascist counterparts in Italy, employed violence and intimidation. The SA, their paramilitary wing, terrorized opponents and disrupted meetings, creating an atmosphere of fear and paranoia. The Nazis skillfully exploited the power of propaganda. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's Minister of Propaganda, masterfully used radio, film and rallies to spread the Nazi message and demonize their enemies. Step by step, the Nazis tightened their grip on German society, transforming the nation into a totalitarian state. At the heart of fascism lay a toxic blend of authoritarianism, nationalism, and a complete rejection of democratic principles. Fascist regimes, whether in Italy, Germany, or elsewhere, shared a fundamental disdain for individual rights and freedoms. They believed in the absolute authority of the state, with the leader as the supreme embodiment of the national will. Dissent was not merely discouraged, it was brutally suppressed. Secret police forces, like the Gestapo in Nazi Germany and the Ovira in Italy, were instruments of terror, silencing any voice that dared to question the regime. Nationalism was another cornerstone of fascist ideology. Fascists promoted an extreme form of patriotism, often rooted in a mythical past. They glorified the nation-state above all else, demanding unquestioning loyalty and obedience from their citizens. This fervent nationalism often manifested in aggressive foreign policy, territorial expansion, and a constant need to prove the nation's strength on the world stage. Fascism, in its various forms, represented a complete rejection of the principles of liberal democracy. Parliamentary systems were dismantled, elections were rigged or abolished, and political opponents were silenced or eliminated. The rule of law was replaced by the arbitrary will of the dictator, and the rights of individuals were sacrificed at the altar of the state.